Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Renee Adams Show. I am here with Verb Mejia, and she is a self-healing practitioner. And we're here to talk about how you can unblock your subconscious thoughts to help you reach your highest desires that you've always wanted, and we all need that. So welcome, Bird.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I am really, really excited to have this show with you. You know me. I love doing stuff like this. I love talking about how we can help people, just uncover and help them to reveal some of their issues with becoming the best version of themselves.
Yes.
So if you can tell everyone a little bit about your backstory.
Okay.
And how you got started.
Okay. All right. So my backstory, everyone, I was living my life like a lot of us, and I was in the outside. It looked like I was having a successful life, and I have 2 master's degrees. I had what looked like a happy marriage, the child, and all this, and I started having this feeling, and I denied it for a long time, but I had this image of this woman with this crazy wild hair coming at my door, and she kept on knocking, and I was terrified of her because it was really like my authentic.
That was kind of you.
Yeah, it was like my authentic self.
Oh, wow.
And I kept on like pushing her away and pushing her away and pushing her away.
But you're like, that is not me.
Yeah,
that's not me.
Yeah. So it was just me. It was like I consider your wild self as your authentic self. So it was like my authentic self coming in. So I started looking at myself, and one of the pinnacle things that happened to me was my daughter was 4 years old, and when she was 4, she was so vibrant and happy and joyful, and she was just playful. And I was watching her, and I thought, she didn't just get that from her father. I said, I must have been like that once upon a time. Okay. And I don't ever remember being joyful. Even as a child, I was always very serious. I had a hard time laughing. So I had to look inside and find that I'm not very joyful, and I have a lot of anger inside of me.
Is that what it was? You think that's what it was? Even at a young age?
I think even at a young age, yes. I think, I feel like I've unlocked myself even from 5. I feel like a lot of my life I was...
And you continue.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there was times where I was playful, but what I remember was always being kind of having this pressure to be perfect and to, it was just my pattern that I had learned when I was a child that I was the oldest,
and they always put the pressure on you to.
I had to the example. I had a mother from Mexico, so she wanted me to fit in, wanted to be accepted, so. I had a lot of those things. So for me, my process was looking at myself and realizing that I'm not happy, and I have to take responsibility for that. So for me, it was a journey. And again, on the outside, it looked like I was doing
perfect.
It was doing well, but I think a lot of times. So this is what I feel like. I feel like all of us have a gift. Like we all have something that we're born to do.
Yeah.
We don't follow our desires.
Well, you're blocked,
yes.
And that's why so many, of the negative patterns and the way that you were raised that enables that. So you don't know, you don't really understand what's happening. Only thing you know is that you were shaped because of the circumstances and your environment, and you know that you were shaped that way because most of those things come with you, during your conversations, the way you react to certain situations because of your surroundings and everything else. Yes. But it's so much to it that all of that is like confetti.
Yes.
It's like sprinkled into your system, the mind. So all of that is confetti, along with television and everything else, right?
Well, they've done studies. If you know Bruce Lipton's work, The Biology of Belief, he talks about the subconscious patterns. So the first 8 years of our life, you're downloading all these things. So, you can have a belief that I'm not lovable, and you could get that belief from a family that is really toxic and abusive, and you have all kind of abuse, or you could have that from a family that was really loving and did their very best, but something happened along there, a certain situation. At this point, you didn't feel like you were lovable, and that is the program you get.
Yeah,
and then you wear it. So
yes,
you can be a grown adult, and you can look in the mirror and say, I love you, I really love you, and your conscious mind is going to check with your subconscious mind, and if your subconscious mind say, no, you don't, then that's what your conscious mind, that's what you're going to go through life. So the subconscious mind is ruling like 95% of what we're doing, so we have to learn how to undig it and change it. So that's like, I've looked at different methodologies to different, I've done lots of different things to change my own stuff, but like, for example, this is
give me an example.
This is one that I love. You'll find, I have to give tribute to Bruce Lipton talking about this, but he talks about, anyone, have you ever fallen in love with somebody and or first met somebody, you're starting to date them, and everything is just wonderful, and you're just like, oh, this is amazing, you're getting along great, and on both sides, and then you get comfortable, you start dating for a long time, or you move in together, or you get married.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Or you get married, and all of a sudden you're like, who is this person?
Right.
Like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not who I went on.
It felt good at first.
Yeah, this is not who I went on a date with the first few months. And this, and they're probably looking at you thinking the same thing. You know, like, what's going on?
Yes.
Well, it's because when we are operating from, when we first meet somebody and we're enamored with them, we are coming from the conscious mind. So the conscious mind is when you're present. So, Eckhart Tolle talks about the power of presence. When you are present, you are operating from the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is not kicking in. So you're actually your authentic self. That is actually who you are. So when you meet someone and you think, that's not who they were, they put on a front. Well, that was actually who they were. They were coming from their conscious mind. But when you get comfortable with somebody, you're not operating from you're not operating from the present moment anymore, and then that subconscious mind kicks in.
That makes so
then all of a sudden it is your mother or his father kicking in or something in, and that's like when your siblings can say, "Oh, you're just like mom," and you're thinking, I am not just like mom. I am not just like mom, because you know who you are. Like, you know that you're not just like mom, but what they're seeing is a subconscious pattern.
Right.
You get comfortable.
That is so true. And that's like a revelation, right?
Yeah, you've learned it, and that's why.
Yeah. That's why it comes through.
So you have to,
that makes so much. Yeah. But how do you even know? I guess you don't. I think it's just a lesson, right? It's not about you knowing how you're going to be when you both get comfortable with one another, because it's the lesson altogether.
Yes, it's a lesson.
Yeah, it's like, who am I attracting, first of all, to myself, and then once I get into a relationship, what's coming out? What's coming through? To that person at that time, because both of you now have this kind of like you have this synergy or the syncness that may not always match up together. It may be totally different once you actually get comfortable, and the subconscious mind start start speaking to one another. Like, oh my gosh, this is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, and then you're probably thinking, I don't act like my mom, or I don't do this because.
Absolutely.
So it's a process of relearning that. Relearning this, and what happens is that when we're younger, we're not really aware, and we think, it's going to get better. We're not, but as we get older, you kind of think, well, okay, this is a pattern. Like, why do I keep attracting the same man or the same woman in a different thing, or why do I, and it can even be a subconscious pattern with money. You come from a family that struggled financially, and no matter what happens, you can have a success, you always end up broke, like your family was, because that is the subconscious pattern, is that I'm going to end up being broke.
So what ways would you suggest for people to get out of that behavior, to get out of the same negative patterns that is not leading them anywhere?
Well, you can go online and find, like, Bruce Lipton has a whole list of different programs. I teach people, I do one-on-one coaching, so I use a lot of things that I've used. I do emotional freedom tapping. I am a trained Shakti Nam yoga instructor, so we do different sound meditations and breath work and different things that can change it. But one simple thing to do is, and I know it sounds corny and it sounds like it doesn't work, but the great late Louise Hay talked about mirror work, is that you talk to yourself and you change those patterns. If you don't feel lovable, you get in the mirror every day, and this is this is what I teach people. And this is what I do myself. I look in the mirror and I say, I love you. I really, really love you, Bird Mejia. You are the love of my life. I will never leave you. And then I laugh because, of course, I can't leave myself. So, it makes. But the thing is that when you start doing that, the first time you do that, for a long time I heard that you should do this mirror work, and I thought, I love myself, fine, that's stupid, I'm not going to do that. And then I finally did, and you find all those hard
you have to first get out of that to say,
look
I'm
in your
not.
eyes and actually say that.
See?
Like, it's a different thing,
Yeah.
And you see all your insecurities, you see all your weaknesses, you see all your subconscious patterns that you don't. But if you continue, like, repetition is powerful. Repetition can break the subconscious patterns. So you repeat. So if it's something that
because when you unknowingly do something over and over again, and that's subconsciously in your mind. So when you do that, it sets in as your habit, and that's how habits are formed. So when you start to one thing that is very important to do is meditate. When you do that, you can kind of unlock that, and you can kind of figure out, because your mind is a little bit more clear. From all this garbage in your mind. And when you can really just get centered with everything and reflect. Sometimes we feel like we don't have time to reflect on anything in our life because we're just too busy. But it is so important to sit and reflect, because our minds are like computers. It holds so much information that most of it is garbage. So it's figuring out, what do you want to hold on to, and what do you want to change, because sometimes our thoughts are just running rapid, just like out of our control, when we really have a lot of control with our thoughts and our thinking, the way that we react and the way that we respond to people, how we love, how we disconnect, and all of that comes with just reflecting on how you want to change your life, and what thoughts are deflecting those things from making it more positive and enlightening and happy and joyful.
Yes.
It's figuring out that.
Well, it's deciding what kind of life do you want?
Right.
Do you want, it's basically about, like, feeling good.
I'm going to let Bird go ahead and share this to her page as well. But as I was saying, in order to get unstuck, a lot of people, they go in circles, and they're wondering why they are running into the same situations, the same people. They're attracting the same thing over and over and over again. And so that you start to become sort of bitter. Like, why isn't my life, up to par with that person? You're comparing yourself, right? So it's really about just seeing who you are today. And when Bird said looking at yourself in the mirror, there are so many things that you can see on a daily basis. Like, you might look in the mirror and say, wow, I look so tired, am I getting enough rest? There's a lot of things just by looking in the mirror, and you can also see the kind of energy that you're projecting. When you look up in the mirror, sometimes we can be really playful in the mirror and say, oh my God, girl, you looking good. Or sometimes we can just look in the mirror like, wow, this is just not going well. But you start to really see yourself and how you go and you play in your life every single day. It's really up to you, and how you want to turn it around, and how you want to change your thoughts and into the reality that you want. It's really just taking what doesn't serve you anymore, and just completely deleting it from your life, deleting it, destroying it, and finding a new way to think on that level. So, because the only way that you're going to be able to change your world is by changing that thought into something different that you never thought about before. And maybe you read a book that opened your mind up a little bit more, that can help you reach your highest sense of self. And I truly believe in that.
Yes. I can't figure out how to do this. We'll do this.
Let me see. So Bert, if you can just tell them a little bit more about, healing, and because what you do is more so of like the, between the harmonium. Is that's what you
I do harmonium healing.
Right.
And then I also, so the other thing I want to talk about is the heart. So I also have a program called, I teach both of the things, but I do one-on-one coaching. But a lot of times, my work is around the heart. Now, the reason I do the heart is that most people are not living from the heart chakra. Now, let me tell you about this.
Okay.
Most people are living from the 3 lower chakras. So if you know the root chakra is where you feel safe, in money and relationships and in self. So if you come from a family that you didn't feel loved at, or you come from a family that was struggling, a lot of times you're going to have issues in the root chakra, and that is like the foundation. So like if you don't feel safe being loved, you have relationship patterns and things don't work out, and if you don't feel safe like just loving yourself and having that self-love, or you don't feel safe in being able to create abundance, financial abundance, then you're going to have root chakra issues. And the root chakra is the foundation. So you can, like if you're building a house, you can't build a house on a weak foundation. Is what's going to happen.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's going to happen. So that root chakra, so that's where a lot of us are sitting at the root, and it was me most of my life. I was dealing with those issues. So the second chakra is the sacral chakra, and that is the center of sexuality and creativity. So a lot of people are stuck there. They are getting their needs fulfilled through sexuality, and or they're not feeling creative. They haven't. All of us can be creative in some way.
Right.
We're all supposed to. Dancing is not just supposed to be for people that are great dancers. Art is not supposed to be just for Picassos. So we all, and it can be even, creatively how you do your business. So a lot of people are stuck there. Or in the third chakra, which is the center of power and control.
Okay.
So if we're not feeling powerful, and that just means like, do you feel personally powerful? And you can take a look at people that are CEOs and are multimillionaires and they're doing this, but deep down they really have issues with power. Right. They don't feel powerful, so they need to create more power.
Yeah, they control.
And all of us have been in the different lower chakras, but when you transcend and you can heal and you can be safe in all those places and balanced in those places,
that makes a lot of sense.
Then you can move to the heart chakra. And the heart chakra, now I think the heart chakra is I think it's the power center. I think this is our power center. And I also think it's the elixir of life.
Well, a lot of people say that too. I mean, if you go back and, in ancient times, that's what they knew.
Yes.
And that's what they lived by. They were living by that. That's why there's so many things created that we're like, how the heck was that created? You know? So living from that, you're not living from fear or any of those lower, whatever was, that gave you those kind of fears basically built up over time.
Yes.
So now, but if you never really dealt with that before, you really can live more powerfully from that center rather than from that area, which doesn't do anything for us at all. If we haven't balanced everything out to where it's a healthier, flow, through those centers. And a lot of people, they make me think, like, what is she talking about? But what she's really saying is, if you know about the chakras, the sacral chakra is where a lot of the negativity go into. We fight to get to that place where it's easier, easier to live and easier to accept a lot more rather than trying to control a lot of things. It's different than a subconscious mind. So when we think about the subconscious mind, we think about the sacral chakra. It's kind of this. It's similar in a way, but it's totally like opposite. But when we come to the heart's chakra, where love is like the highest power, it's like unconditional love. So when you live from that, there is no fear. There is no resentment. There's no bitterness. There's no it's nirvana almost. Like it's not. I don't know if it's total nirvana. I've not really. I haven't really done that. But in Buddhism, they talk about nirvana being like the highest state of happiness. But when I think about, and I could be wrong, when I think about the heart chakra, it's really just living from more of that positive way of life. The subconscious, however, is a little different because it's about clearing away a lot of things that have been there for so long that just it takes you into the that cyclical life. You know, you just continue to go into like this hamster wheel. So really all of this just needs to be cleared.
Yes. Well, the thing too is that I think most people are walking around life with blocked or wounded or hurt hearts.
Yes.
I mean, I think,
yeah.
Look, I've read that only about 5% of people are operating from the heart chakra. Everyone else is lower chakra.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times it's wounds from childhood. Like we're walking around from wounds from childhood, and if we didn't have any wounds from childhood, none of us have any of us been alive who's not had a broken heart. And so a lot of times what happens is we just barricade the heart so we don't get hurt.
Right.
And I was in a relationship for a long time with a broken heart in lots of ways. So you can be in a relationship and you can walk through your life. So when you live from, because the heart affects all the different organs, some of the organs will actually take the weight of the heart, and they'll take they will take the weight of what's happening, so they'll protect the heart. So the heart is related, and it affects the circulatory system and the respiratory system, the sexual center. That's why I say I think it's the elixir of life. That when you're living, because if you look at things, that we are love. We come from love. We are here to learn to love, and it starts with loving ourselves. And so this is what I teach when I talk to people and I teach in my programs, is that think about the person that you've loved most in your life. Like, just think about that. Maybe it's your first puppy love, maybe it's your mate who you're with now, or maybe it's somebody that you met long ago, maybe it's a child, parent, grandma. Just consider the person that you love most in your life. Now think about when that person did something wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
You still love them, right?
Yeah.
You love them unconditionally. When you knew that person's weaknesses, did that matter?
No.
No, you loved them unconditionally. If they made a mistake,
right,
where you like you were going to be there. But how many of us can truly take that unconditional love and turn that on ourselves?
Ooh.
How often? How many of you can really, when you are at your weakest, when you made a bad mistake and you don't want to forgive yourself, can you really love yourself? When you are at your worst, do you
to forgive yourself?
Do you love yourself? Do you love yourself unconditionally? Do you love yourself?
Absolutely.
When you're not perfect?
Thank you.
How many? Not too many of us, right?
Right.
Yes. So that is really, we hear self-love, and, for a long time I'm like, I love myself, I'm really confident for years and years.
Right.
But when I really looked at it that way, I was like, I don't, because I don't love myself that way, and I don't think a lot of us really do.
And that's the thing too, coming to that realization that you're not feeling yourself the way you need to, and what what needs to take place in order for you to start to love yourself. And sometimes it is because we continue to watch or to surround ourselves around the same things that still gives us that feeling that I'm not good enough. So do some things that make you feel like you are good enough, and start hanging around people, and so it's a lot of support groups that's going through the same things that you are. And again, now this is the subconscious now that's filling up with good stuff, right? So don't continue to try to fit in, because if it's not developing you into someone that you can truly become powerful with in yourself, then you don't need to be in those environments and situations anymore. I mean, it just makes sense. So now again, it's a mind shift. It's like, okay, I need to change my my routine. I need to change my surroundings and not be afraid, because now you're stepping into a totally different comfort zone. I mean, not comfort zone. You're stepping out of that comfort zone into something totally new and foreign to you. So when you can start to make small steps and into doing things that are a little foreign, that you're learning different things and different ways of seeing things, seeing the world, then you start to attract different people. And you sometimes, when you feel like there's a connection, you need to try to really live in that moment and figure out things about yourself, because sometimes when you meet people and you stepped outside of your environment that you've always been in, you know, just say that you were like, you know, around a lot of violence and in a bad area, and all of this around you, it kind of shaped you in a way, and we can't help for those things to shape us. You just can't. But what you can accept is, you know, what you take in. You don't have to be involved and do the you know the stuff that these people do, like the negative stuff, the negative talk, the negative, you know, they have self doubts and limiting beliefs. You don't have to take that in. What you can learn from it is, I don't want to live like this anymore. And you can actually look at someone that inspires you, living from that place, looking at someone that inspires you, and not, instead of being jealous, thinking of ways to get out of that situation and taking steps. So that's what I mean by the mind shift, and think about different, the way that you think now, just changing that one thought into something totally different, which will eventually change your life.
Well, and then it also changes your vibration.
Oh, so, yeah, that's so important.
So I mean, that's the thing, is that, you know, what we don't understand, and I think probably for those of us who are still alive 100 years from now or 75 years ago, it's probably going to be commonplace when people talk about vibrations and auras. So most of you have met somebody, and when you first meet someone, you usually get like a good vibe or a bad vibe.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times we weren't taught that, so sometimes we ignore that.
Yeah.
But what you're feeling is there's actually an energy field around people, and there's some people that can actually see it and can actually see the color of it. Now I don't have that, but I can feel, like I can feel somebody. And you know, it's interesting because sometimes in my life, some of the people that have had the strongest negative initial energy with, that I had just had a reaction, were physically the most beautiful people that I've ever seen. So you can't, you know, you can't judge. It is something that's invisible. It's just an energy field around us. So when you start changing your thoughts, and like, for example, if you start really learning to love yourself, you're changing your vibration. You're having a different vibration.
Absolutely.
Things like slowing your breath. I teach breath work, and I teach sound meditation as ways to raise my vibration. That is probably the thing that has changed my life the most, is my sound meditation and my breath work, because it's raised my vibration. And as I vibrate at a different level, I'm attracting people and situations that are vibrating here. So it's kind of like if you're vibrating here, and you know you're doing this, and you're breathing slow, and you're not really loving yourself, well, you're going to vibrate people and situations that are vibrating the same way. So if you start changing your vibration, you're going to go to the grocery store, and they're going to go be nasty to somebody else.
Absolutely.
You know, you're going to get that teller that goes off and is angry at someone else. You know, or
you're like dispelling that kind of stuff.
And it's hard because a lot of time, you know, we're coming from families that love us and we love them, but sometimes there's dysfunctional patterns.
Absolutely.
So what you have to learn is to, when you're in those situations, is raise your vibration. Absolutely. It's kind of like an airplane. So let me raise my vibration. So I'm here, and if I'm in the room with them and I'm at Thanksgiving dinner with everybody, I can watch it. But I don't have to take my airplane and go down into it.
A lot of people do. And
and then you can't, because you're not going to change it, you know, because, you know, for a long time you try to go back in there because you're like, I want to change this person, or I want to engage in an argument with this thing. I want to do this, but you have to get to a point, and I'm not saying it's easy.
It's not easy.
You know, it's not easy, because this is, you know, this is your family, folks. You know, but you're able to just raise your vibration.
Absolutely.
And do, like, I do my breath work, and I'll do my sound meditation. I'll do my things that I need to do, and there's lots of different ways to raise your vibration, but you can just be here, and you can watch them, even if it's things that are negative, and you can watch them with compassion and empathy. Absolutely. But you don't have to engage in it anymore.
No, you don't have to.
And then that's when you're free. Like, and it's
when you know that you are really free is when you know you don't have to interact. You know, in that kind of behavior. You don't have that feeling of fitting in, or feeling that you have to do something, you know, about it. And I mean, and the response that you give
yes.
to it.
Yes.
When you know that you are totally liberated and free, that's when you know. That's when
I know, and
that's
you're just
when
like,
you know.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
And another thing about the energy and the vibrations, if you really can understand this and get into this whole energy, field. I mean, put it into your routine, because a lot of times when people get diseases and cancers and things like that, it's because of the low energy. And I'm not saying everyone, because I feel like sometimes that disease lay dormant because it's a part of your DNA. And if you live in a low frequency, then it's going to actually manifest itself. But if you keep your energy balanced and moving through your body, I think most times, and I think that's why they do a lot of that kind of healing at the hospitals when people are going through that. So just imagine if you can really put that into your routine to work on your energy, which Bird is certified in, the working with your energy to help you from not getting ill, or it helps with your youth and things like that, because you're not so stressed and you feel happy all the time, and you're helping other people to feel happy. So that give and take and give and receive is what life should be about. So if you can really live in that, and you can train your mind and recondition yourself to focus on some of these routines that we talk about with meditation and energy, you would find yourself in a totally different place. And I do these shows for a reason. Although you don't see all of my shows like this, but I do this for a reason, because I know that it helps. It will help all of us in the long run. And I do think that it's time to actually share this amongst others to try to develop into the person that they want. Create that person you want. Become that, be that totality of everything that you ever dreamed of, like in total beauty, and be that goddess, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it, you say it. Look in the mirror and say, I am. This is, and that's another powerful word. I am. And when you can really start speaking that way, and you can really start to recondition that mind of yours that just have this monkey chatter all the time, because monkey chatter is not healthy.
No, I know.
It's not, because that means you're living in your head. When you just if you're just out and you're out and about trying to have fun, and you are in your head thinking about whatever, and it's like, hey, are you listening to me?
That's why I like sound meditation, because that's what works for me. Because I have my mind, because my mind just does this. I've tried so many meditations. I've tried Wayne Dyer's meditations, and for me, it makes me more stressed sometimes, or makes me fall asleep. So for me, I like, and everybody has something that works for them. There's millions of people that regular silent meditation works beautifully. That's but for me, I really like sound meditation, because what you're doing is you're using your voice, and you're doing this, it sounds like chanting. But what you're doing is, because your mind, you're saying words, and your mind gets fascinated by the words, and usually incorporating breath work. So you're doing breath work along with it, which when you do breath work, it slows your vibrations. So, and the breath work will change your subconscious patterns. So you're changing your subconscious patterns, and it engages in a different kind of way. So for me, it's like I can get to that meditative state in 15 miles with regular meditation, but with sound meditations, I get there in 1 mile. So for me, I will wake up. One of the things that I've struggled with is melancholy and anger in my life. That's just that's one of those things that I know. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling melancholy, I know I have a sound meditation that I can do that just whips it in the butt, and it will literally. I can do it in 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, it's one for joy, and it helps me feel better, and then I'm able to get to that point. And then also when you're using your voice, and this can be even for singing, when you can't heal the lower chakras from the lower chakras. So if you have a broken heart, for example, you can't heal it through sex unless there's love, because it's coming from the lower chakras, and that's what a lot of us will do. It has to come from the upper chakras.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so when you're doing the sound meditation with the throat, it's healing the heart.
No way.
And it's opening up the heart, and it's doing all that. And that is, so like if you're having sex with love,
Yeah.
it's coming from the heart, so that can be healing.
Oh, wow.
But if it's not coming from that, you can't heal stuff from lower up.
Okay, well that's some information that that we can use. Like, don't just think that sex is going to be the answer.
Yes, yes.
Like, give us some space. Give.
Well, you have to heal yourself.
Right.
You have to come,
exactly.
You have to come from love. And
I love that. So when you start to focus on that, now that's the secret.
So
that's the secret. Mm-hmm. Everybody should know.
So.
Yes.
So we're talking about sex. Well, this is an interesting
topic.
Right?
This is interesting. Okay, let's go for it.
So there's an energy exchange. The poet Rumi talks about it. He talks about, who was the very famous poet from the 14th century. And he talks about that when a man and a woman are together, there's always something that's born. And he's not talking about children. There's always an energy exchange.
Uh-oh.
There is a vibration. So when you're with somebody, you have the vibration. So if you're with somebody, I've
heard this.
And he or she has a lower vibration than you do, guess what? Afterwards, your vibration is
going
lower. So then what happens? You have a lower vibration, then you're going to need more to.
No way. From that person?
To feel that, and because it lowers your vibration. You have that vibration. I don't know how long it is. I know a spiritual master who he says that it stays around for a few years, the vibration. And I don't know if it's that, but for me, it's even if it stays around for a couple weeks or a couple of days. I don't want so you want to be careful about the vibration. It's an energy exchange of vibrations.
So what about that person you feel a good vibration with, but then you find out later that it really wasn't?
Well, you have to listen to your vibration. They might have a lot of other gunk going on, a lot of dysfunctions going on, but you kind of know, like if it's coming, if it's a positive vibration, you'll know afterwards. How do you feel? Like, do you feel more vibrant? Do you feel how are you feeling? And and there's always love. If there's love, whenever there's love, it's going to raise your vibration. So that's kind of a good parameter. If there's love involved, then it's going to raise your vibration. But just be careful that it's not about the morality of it. It's just you want to have a strong vibration.
The energy.
And you don't want to be with someone then physically it might have felt good, but then your vibration's low.
Right.
And now what?
And I think a lot of people actually talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about the energy exchanges, when you meet someone, but I don't know if people really understand, really what that all entails.
Yeah, I don't think most people do.
They don't.
No.
But it's good that it's, because I've seen it on Facebook a few times, and it's good to be able to see that. That people are aware of it, and now that we're speaking of it, because we have quite a few people online, and I appreciate everyone that's watching. But when we can, when we really can pay attention to that, because like you said, like you talking about, morals and stuff like that. So like you don't want to just be doing it all the time. But the morals, you saying not to really think about that, but think more so of the energy.
I know, for me, but I'm not saying to think the moral. I was raised Catholic, so I've always followed the morality of it.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit and preach my morality.
Right.
That's what I meant by it's not about the morality of it. I'm not going to preach that this is my belief with the way I was raised with my religion. It is beyond the morality. It is what is going on energetically, because you can tell a 16-year-old or a 20-year-old don't have sex, you can be and you can preach all the morality of it, and they're going to do what they want. But if you tell them this is why there's going to be an energy exchange, that 20-year-old might think twice about who they're going to be with. They might think twice about maybe so that's kind of why I mentioned that it's. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be concerned about the morality,
right?
Because you have to follow your beliefs, and I've always had very set beliefs on that kind of stuff too. But but it's beyond that. It's also the energy exchange. You want to be, that's important. That's important.
Very important. So let's talk about attachments and. Like the self-beliefs and all that kind of stuff. Like what do you feel about, the attachments that a lot of people carry with them, and and also, you know, trying to decide how to live their best self. Like, how do you?
What do you mean, attachments to people? Like
attachments
with love,
to, yeah.
Or like
attachments to money, attachment to people, like relationships, attachment to, you know, your job, those kind of things. Like, you know, when we talk about attachments, to me, I look at it as something that isn't really freeing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, like, what, I mean, is that like a certain chakra, or is it more of just patterns?
I think it's more so patterns. It might be different chakras, but
when you have attachment.
Yeah, I mean, attachment is trying to latch on to something to make you happy a lot of times.
Yeah, right. That's exactly.
You can't really truly be attached, and most of us are going to. So I'll just talk about relationships with somebody. You know, the main thing too is that you have to be whole in a relationship, and a lot of times we're not whole. You know, Shel Silverstein talks about this in his children's book, The Missing Piece, and you got that little missing piece, and he's trying to find a piece that fits him, and he can't. He keeps going and rolling around, and he can't find a missing piece, and then finally he sees this beautiful rolling ball that is happy and whole, and says, "Can you have a missing piece? Can I fit in?" He said, "No, I'm happy. I'm rolling around. So why don't you just pick yourself up and start rolling?" So you know, he's like this, and he starts picking himself
that
up,
is so,
and then he becomes
that.
A circle, and he's just rolling around, and then he comes across the other circle that's happy, and then they roll along. So that is like what a relationship should be.
You should be whole.
You should be whole, and whether you're in a relationship or not, a lot of us truly are not whole. If you can be truly honest with yourself, so when you're not whole, you're going to attach to somebody because they are filling up one of your missing pieces.
Okay.
So you're going to be attached.
Okay.
So if they're out of your life, you know, there is a process of grieving. Just because you miss somebody, and whether it is a divorce or a breakup or a death, you're going to physically miss that person. But beyond that, a lot of times the pain, the excruciating pain we feel is because we don't feel whole anymore. Like they made us feel like we're not lovable anymore. And it created a pattern, like, why does this always happen to me? Why do women always leave me? Why did, you know, she cheat on me? Or why did he do this? Why aren't I worthwhile? It brings up all this stuff because really you're not whole. So that's why there's that attachment, because, and it can be that way with the job, with anything, because you don't feel whole. When you really feel whole, you can kind of let things, now you're going to miss somebody if they're not in your life because, but the way I look at love, and this is why I teach in my Heal Your Heart program, is I believe that love never dies. Like for me, you know, you can say, well, I don't love them anymore, but for me, like, if that was really love, love never dies. I have a poem that says, love is not a flower, it does not quickly die. Love is a rock and a river. You know, love stays on, true love. And if someone's not in your life, again, whether it is from a death or a breakup or a divorce or whatever it may be, if you have them in your heart, you're always connected. It doesn't matter. Nothing can break that. They are still there. And you can still love that person and go on without them. You're obviously you're going to miss their presence, but there's still an energy cord, and you can feel, and you can, and the thing about it is that people always come into our lives to teach us something. And sometimes we meet someone that we were talking about this earlier, you meet someone that has this really crazy strong connection, you know, and you think, oh, this is my life partner. We're supposed to grow old, and we're going to be in a rocking chair together, and we're going to do all this, you know. We think this is it.
And you feel it. Like,
you're like, oh my goodness, we just connect. But that person might have a strong connection because they are a teacher. They're supposed to teach you something, and you're teaching them, and there's that connection.
The connection.
You have something to teach
one another.
To teach each other, to evolve.
Yes.
To evolve.
And I agree with that totally. When you have that connection, because you don't want to not have a connection, because then you'll separate and go your own ways. You have to have some kind of connection to stay with it, you know, for as long as it's supposed to, you know, last. You're supposed to stay in with it. So that really helps with attachments, and I think you brought up a great example on that, you know, for people to, because I don't feel like you should have those attachments. I think, you know, that's kind of still the subconscious thing that happens, that you hold on, or you think you need That's something to make you happy.
Yes.
And really, you need to figure out, like, why am I so needy? What is it that I'm not fulfilling within myself that I feel like I need someone else? Because if they leave me, then I'm running rapid and I'm going crazy, and I feel less than myself and all this kind of stuff. When really, it's about learning. It's hard. It's really not easy. It's not as easy as it said. It's a process, and the longer you do it, the stronger you'll get, and the more you'll start to understand. Out of all the relationships that you end up in, because we are human. We go through a span and just thousands of people in our life, no matter what that may be. We cross the street and smile at someone or whatever it may be. But there's so many little, like, pieces of confetti that fits into our whole dynamic of our life and who we are. And it really is. It's really special.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing, and I love it. Yes, I absolutely love it. And I stay grateful, and just to remain that person who just like to share and give advice and help people out. Because if you could see where we are now in this world, oh my God, like we all need some kind of love and support, because everybody seems so divided. It's so divisive in this world. Everyone, you walk by someone, they act like they don't see you, you're invisible. And it should not be that way. It should not be that way at all, and part of that is because people feel left out. They feel alone. They don't really know how to fit in. They don't know really how to fit in. I mean, and when they feel like they feel invisible, it's like, why isn't anyone paying attention to me? But when you live that authentic life, just live authentically.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you'll be happy, because then the people that you come in contact with, just that one day you meet the most amazing person, can just make your whole week. It makes your whole week.
Yes.
So okay. Let's talk about your Heal the Heart. Is that the way?
Yes.
Okay. Heal the Heart.
Yeah.
And the services that you offer within that, and the packages, if you have packages and things like that.
So I have put together an online program called Heal Your Heart. It is 7 weeks, 7 different modules, and the recorded modules, they're from 35 to 55 minutes. It's me talking with some visuals, and then you have to do things to do. Like, I want you to work on stuff. It's an active program. It includes, I have a Heal Your Heart meditation and a Letting Go meditation. So
nice.
You'll have some meditations along with it. And it is kind of self-paced, so you can go. You can go at your own pace. Like, I have one starting August 22nd that's coming up. It'll be 7 weeks, but if it takes you 5 weeks to get to module 1, it's fine, because you have lifelong access to it. But I start with the foundation of really going deep and healing the heart, and we deal with things that are basic about the foundation, about self-love. I deal with the subconscious patterns, because a lot of times we have to heal our subconscious patterns, because, for example, if your relationship ends, your marriage ends, and your spouse was cheating on you, for example, you might think, why does this always happen to me? What's wrong with me? What? So your pattern is saying there's something wrong with you. This is why this happens. So you have to take a look at why is this pattern, and where did you learn that belief system? Like, I'm not. So we go into that, and we also go into just the grieving and into anger, because a lot of times, for one, I am such a loving person. A lot of times I don't allow myself to get angry, that there has to be a time. Christian Northrup talks about, excuse my language if there's anyone watching, but she talks about the power of fuck, like, fuck you, you didn't, this was not right, or, that there is a releasing of the anger. So I talk about that. Even part of the healing process is going through that grieving period and going through that anger period, because you have to go through that cave, that cave of grief and of anger sometimes, to get to the other side. So we go over these things, and that's that's the program that's online. And then I also do an extensive 90-day one-on-one coaching with me, where we'll go and I'll individualize it for your needs, and it'll also include harmonium healing and Reiki. So a lot of times it'll be a 2-hour meeting if you're in the Phoenix area.
So what's the difference between those two?
Well, harmonium healing is work on the spinal cord. So it's kind of like you kind of lie on your back, you lie face forward. So I work on your back. It's kind of gentle, like a massage. But we work on the spine because the spinal cord holds the memory of the body of pain. So we all have a body of pain. Our body of pain can come from our mother's side, our father's side. So like, for example, if you're a woman, when your mother was pregnant with you, you were in the womb and your eggs were in you. So you were connected to your mother and to your daughter or to your children. So there is a connection. So whatever your mother was going through, if there was some trauma going on, it can go right through to the egg and go to the grandchild. So this is how some of the science is finding this. So it can be some of the trauma that's happened on your mom's side, from your dad's side. Even if you never knew your father, there was stuff that was going on in the DNA. So I'm gonna go a side note on the DNA. Now, they did a study. They did a study where they had grandchildren of survivors of the Holocaust. And they decided not to tell these grandchildren until an older age anything about the Holocaust, that they were young. But these grandchildren still were having nightmares about the concentration camps and about starving to death. Why? Because when trauma happens, it changes the DNA. So the DNA passed on to the grandchildren, and so it was in there. So we heal those are influences. Whatever's happening with the mom when she's pregnant also becomes part of, because you can feel those energy, you're connected, and then the first 8 years of life. So harmonium healing works on healing that. And then Reiki.
And that's new for me. I never knew about that until I saw what you were certified in. So that's amazing.
So it's a nice thing. And usually it's relaxing, but like when I have it on me, like I know everyone's different. You can't tell how it's kind of like it's a self-healing modality. Like when I know that something's working with me, like it's really relaxing, but all of a sudden like I have a hard time breathing. Like I have to consciously breathe, and that's why I know for me like some hard stuff is getting worked out in me. And usually it works like 24 to 48 hours afterwards. Like sometimes.
But you
kind of things will come. And then Reiki it increases your vibration. It helps strengthen your vibration. And strengthen your vibration changes your life. I mean, for me, that's probably been the biggest thing. Is raising my vibration has really changed my life, and it's life changing, and it's amazing because you feel better.
You sure do.
We are here, we're not here. Of course we're gonna all have our earthquakes and our storms and our hurricanes coming through life. So there's gonna be suffering, but we're here to love, and we're here to feel joy.
Absolutely.
So we have to. That's what's important. So that's what.
I agree with you. I love having you here because I agree with a lot of things that you're saying, and having you, being the certified, kind of expert on, the topic, it really helps, a lot of people. You gave me, new information and learnings, and it's really important for all of us to have some understanding on different aspects of it. So it really does help. So if you can just let everyone know where they can find you for your services and stuff like that.
You can go to my website. It's Bird. It is like a bird, everyone. Bird, BIRD, and the last name is Mejia. It is MEJIA. So it's birdmejia.com. So again, BIRDMEJIA.com. You can get information I've got all the information on my Heal Your Heart program, and you can contact me there or on Facebook if you're interested in the 90-day coaching. And what I do my purpose for doing this is I am so passionate about helping people, because when you heal your heart and you can do that and you can heal from the inside out, your life, you can change your life. And
Absolutely.
I love to empower people. Yeah. And again, I do 90 days because after 90 days, you should be on your way.
You'll be on your feet.
Yeah, and I'll give you the resources that I use that when it does get bad, like, I'm not saying I don't have my bad days and I don't have my struggles, right. But when I do, I have my toolkit. So basically what I want to do is teach you my toolkit so you can take it and you can go fly. I almost became a counselor. I have 2 master's degrees, but I almost had a third in counseling. I was in my doctorate, or I was not in my graduate program. Mm-hmm. And something didn't feel right about it. I couldn't figure it out, but now I understand now because I don't want it to be. It's not about me sitting here telling me your problems and I'm trying to. Right. It's about, hey, these are your problems and let me figure out. Let's figure it out. Like, here's some of the things that you can. Here's a toolkit and go, and that's why I call it heal your heart and heal your life and invest in yourself.
Absolutely.
And invest in your life, because if you put this investment in yourself. And it's a small investment for the rest of your life. If you can change these patterns,
Absolutely. Oh
and all age, it doesn't matter if you're here and you're 90 years old, you still have, might have another 20, 30 years to live.
That's right.
Heal yourself.
Oh my God.
And do this stuff. And if you're watching this and you're 22 years old, well, then do it right now. So you don't have to.
And you can erase all.
Yeah, you don't have to. You have to have so much stuff, and you can be the wise friend that's saying, hey, this is what you do. And so it's important at all the ages. So that I am just really passionate about. I really feel like all of us have a gift.
Absolutely.
That we're supposed to give to the world. Yeah. And when you know that, it frees you and it gives you joy. And you might not know what it is. Some of us wake up and we know, we're going to be an artist when we're in second grade, or we're going to be a doctor when we're little. But most of us have no clue. It's kind of like this labyrinth, But when you start healing yourself, you can authentically do what you're supposed to do.
Right, because you're clearing all this mess and junk out.
Yes, instead of being a businessman, because that's what you were taught you were supposed to do, and you really wanted to teach. That really makes you passionate. And maybe as a teacher, you're going to invent a new way working with the children that's never been invented, and you're going to create something brand new. But you're not doing that because you're in something else. No matter what it is, I feel like when you heal from the inside out, and you heal your patterns, heal your heart, it opens you up to live your authentic self life. Yeah, and that is so important.
And for everyone to be happy, right? So they won't feel so bitter and have that resentment and all that kind of stuff. But Bird, you say that you are your own hero, and that's huge. When I see your statement, I feel something from that when you say that, and for you to pick up on these certain practices and try to empower people as well, which you already started this, and you've already empowered, people that you speak to, but you call yourself your own hero. And anytime that we can speak of ourselves in that kind of way, lets us know that we are stronger, we are wiser, and we have so much more understanding of the world around us and inside of us.
Yes. Because this is what, when I talk, I'll do my Facebook Lives or I do my Instagram stories. This is what I always like to kind of end it with. You're beautiful, you're powerful, you're lovable, you're loved. You're more amazing and powerful than you know. And I think that's how it is for most of us.
I love how you just did that.
We are more powerful
than we think we are.
Know, and we're more lovable than we are. Yeah. And again, this is not just talking to the ladies, men, the same thing. You have your heart
absolutely
locked,
I love it.
And it's important for all of us.
Absolutely, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Bert.
It was
so nice having you. That was so good. All the information that you shared was great.
It was a joy.
Thank you. And anyone that wants to reach out to Bird, please do so. Her link to her page is right there. If you want to inbox her with any questions, or if you want her, to use her services, please do so. And I really appreciate you all for watching as always. Thank you so much for watching and sharing your love and likes. It is just wonderful. Thank you so much for all your support. So I will see you all next time. Thank you again. Bye-bye.